All right. Hey, welcome in everybody to Spiritual Vacancy. We are here to help fill your spiritual void. My name is Brooke Ann. I am a psychic medium and a Reiki practitioner, and I am joined by the lovely.
Well, I am Mona Lee. Hello, hello, hello. And I'm the owner of Beautiful Mind, Body, Spirit. So looking forward to just connecting with our community out there and just really continuing to just share the love and share the light, as we are all light workers here and we are all energy healers here. And it's just great to get the light spread. It's like spreading the light from one candle to another, and I feel like that's what we're doing here on today's discussion with our dear friend Keshava. And I had met Keshava, I'll start to introduce that, met him several years ago, and right at the moment that I had met him, I thought, oh my goodness, what an amazing blessing of a light, an earth angel, and just to be in the presence. Like, he walks into a room and you can feel the presence of Keshava. And he is just I couldn't wait to get him on our podcast just to share more of what he does and what he's all about. But I know it's just he's very consciously aware, and you'll hear that when we start talking to Keshava. But as far as the bliss consciousness training that he is involved in, and just the depth of meditation that he's able to bring people into just by the presence. So I am so excited to have you here with us, Keshava. Thank you for being with us.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Mona Lee. It's such a blessing. And, the sharing the light and the joy is what makes life so beautiful. So thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Brooke, do you want to start with any questions for Keshava, or would you like me?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm excited. This is my first time meeting him. I can already tell his energy and presence is already warm and loving just from the few seconds we hopped on, because your smile is contagious. And so what is it exactly that you do, and how did you get started on this journey, on this path in your life?
Well, God, how I got started. What I do is I teach meditation, and I also have some consciousness training courses I give. But what I do most of all is just try and share um, the joy of living, the joy of life. And I can't think of anything more fun than that, just reminding people that it's a joy to be here, and it's a joy to be human, which was a tough one for me, but yeah. So that's what I do. I think I read that question and I thought about when it started, and God, I guess it started at birth, but when my spiritual path really started was when I met the love of my life. Um, and I say that because um, when we met, I had this total trust, you know, I had, there was nothing to hide. I was able to share anything and everything with her. So there were no dark places. And I just feel like that was the beginning of living on a different level, and beginning to accept myself, which I was not doing a good job at the time. I didn't like me much, but yeah, so that was it, love, and that uh, connection and trust that I felt. Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing too, as far as with love, that that is one of the highest frequency vibrations that humans, can experience as well. And whether it is with one, single love, or whether it's with a big love and universal love and that godly love. And when you are sharing and you're teaching and sharing that beautiful bliss of God, we had that discussion one day of what is God? How do you know? How does he show up? Because I know many people in our community and in our world going, what is it? Well, who is God? What is God? How does he show up? What is it all about? Is it religion? Is it not religion? What is the feeling? What is this all about? Can you share that with us, Keshava?
Wow. What is God? Um, for me, God is everything and in everything. And that's part of what makes life so much more joyful. I don't look at myself or anyone else being separate from God. And um, it's nice to be able to hear him and to feel him. Um, but just trusting that God is always with me and um, and is in everything, and we're connected. And it's easy to forget that. It's easy to buy into that we're separate and different. And we're only different in that we are unique expressions of that same God. And so that's God for me. And that helps um, helps me be more at peace and content, knowing that God's always with me. And
I love
yeah.
that you talked about how, I'm assuming prior to you meeting your wife, you couldn't be exactly who you wanted to be or who you felt to be or where you were drawn. Because when you met her, you said it kind of like changed you into like no secrets. You could just be yourself. You could just be you. Was that like from family restrictions or outside restrictions or how you were like raised to be a certain way or if you felt a certain way? Did you ever experience any of that while you were growing up or being raised and then when you met your wife? Because I love how it just took one person to change who you were meant to be. Because a lot of people listening are so lost and they can't see that life is great right now because of things that are going on in their life. And it could just be that one person that could come in and change it, make it feel better. But I was wondering in your journey, what was it for you that was kind of holding you back or maybe giving you that restriction before you met her?
Well, it wasn't overnight. It's an
Mm.
ongoing process, and it continues to be a day at a time that I continue to have to work on every day. But she really began the process of my recognizing that I didn't have to hide um, those not pretty parts about myself, and there was a lot of them, and there was a lot of pressure to be. Um, yeah, I was told again and again, you can't be like your peers. You have to be bigger, stronger, faster, and so there was this sense of the need to be perfect and the need to get things right, um, and it was too much, and I failed again and again. It was never good enough, because I could be at the top of my class and think to myself, well, if I could have worked a little bit harder or focused just a little bit more. And so that's where I was. I was in a place where um, I was never satisfied, and it was never good enough. And I had so many places that I didn't want you to see. because I didn't like me much. So I was pretty certain that I was not going to let you see the not pretty parts of myself. And she helped um, crack that door. She accepted me completely, exactly the way I was. And little by little, I shared all those dark secrets and dark places. And I think that that was a beginning to a different type of life, you know, a day at a time. It took time, but things began to open up with my late wife. Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I love
that's
that. I think a lot of
beautiful.
people can relate, you know, one day at a time and trying to find that joy or try to find, and be okay with who you are and
Yeah.
our not perfect selves, and that it's okay, you know, and have that unconditional love from someone. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
It's
What a journey.
Hmm.
it's amazing what we all can do with acceptance. And, and that's what I got um, from Sue. She just accepted me as I was. And what a gift that is. And it gave me a chance to begin the process of accepting myself and accepting others. So, um,
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Keshava, can you share with us what are some of your favorite tools that you have utilized for yourself to continue that process of self-love, self-acceptance that you could give advice to other people to find that peace, to find that joy?
well, um, I think the next really big step expansion for me was when I learned a meditation practice called the Ashaya's Ascension. It was a weekend course, and it was very powerful for me. Uh, I think I didn't sleep for about a week after the weekend. It was, and everyone has a different experience, but for me, it was very powerful, um, and I was still kind of tough on myself at that point. I had a tendency of taking quarterly or so tranquilizers, and that was 3, 4, 5 times a year, I would start beating on myself so bad, that I would need a drink. That's the only time I drank. But um, that was the last time that I ever needed a drink. That weekend just softened me. I found a quiet place and I never uh, got to the point where I needed to defend myself from myself again.
Mm.
So for me, the practice of meditation made a really big difference in my life, and it kind of softened my self-judgment. And um, so, yeah, that was a transformative um, choice that I made, and it continues to be an important part of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some deep words though. When you said defend myself from myself and you let that go, I'm like, oh yeah, that's 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 a lot right there, just in that one sentence. That's a lot going on in that sentence where it's like, oh, that one's deep. That's a good one because a lot of times, yeah, even myself, I think Mona, you too, we're our own worst critics and we're hard on ourselves, but I've never heard it put in that term, and that was perfectly said.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so, so beautifully done because it is like just to have this human experience, we are all these spiritual beings having these human experiences, and then to find the ways that we can really stop beating ourselves up so much and stop being so difficult on ourselves or stop self-medicating or um, just like cutting ourselves down in different ways, whether it's
Mhm.
through substance or whether it's through thoughts, whether it's through whatever it may be, and having that practice that you have, if you will, the practice of meditation to assist, it becomes a lifestyle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it made an incredible difference in my life. I was still missing something though, but it when I could keep my focus on that quiet part in me, that infinite part in me, I was in a really good place. I only had to worry then when I lost my focus for a moment, and then I'd get lost in the weeds. Um, and then something came in my life that cleared the weeds away. That meditation alone, prayer and meditation alone, really couldn't. And that was a 12-step program, also called Anonymous Recovery. And um, it um, cleared the way for me to fully accept being human with all my not pretty parts, and to live in a way that I couldn't fully live before, because the truth was I was always running away from, to some degree, from those parts of myself that I decided weren't acceptable, weren't um, uh, weren't worthy, made me less than I should be. And so I got to go step by step, uh, um, and look at those parts and share those parts. And um, and as I did that, you know, um, I opened up more and more to life in a way that I couldn't before. And then uh, the meditation practice is called the Ashaya's Ascension. And I didn't have to ascend above the thoughts and the muck and the mire. I could just relax, in a way that I wasn't able to relax before. So I'm a big fan of being willing to look at those dark parts, and um, being able to learn from the people that come in your life. Um, I think everyone has to teach me something, especially the ones that I judge the most harshly, because I've become a firm believer. One of the things that was shared with me: you spot it, you got it.
Oh,
And that was a wonderful gift for me,
Yeah.
because anytime someone comes into my life that frustrates me to no end, what I think of, they are showing me the part of myself that I haven't learned to love, you know? And that doesn't mean that I can't look at things and say, wow, that's not a good thing, or it's a violent thing, or a bad thing. But there are people that bring up emotions and judgments in me that are really strong. And those, I have found, show me, okay, this is something I'm going to have to learn to accept. And uh, I don't come by as many people like that anymore, because little by little, I am accepting. Um, and that's a beautiful thing. I think of that. I shared that with my wife, and how powerful that was for me. And as I've gone through my spiritual life, when I've reached out to God and um, various masters, um, I felt love, I felt acceptance. And I so like to be able to share that acceptance with everyone I meet, and share that love with everyone I meet. And for me to be able to do that, I learned that I had to learn to accept the parts of me that were not so beautiful, So, yeah.
I love that. I love that saying
Mm.
of you spot it, you got it. And you think about like we can spot things in other people that we admire and we absolutely love, but we really don't always face the mirror when we spot it and we got it with something that is an aversion to us or something that really is bothersome to us. So what a powerful thing to be able to face. You know, and if we all could take time to just face those things, like what is it that's bothering us about such and such or so and so, it really is a beautiful reflection, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great thing. I have a curiosity about, I love the idea of the, I'm not really familiar with the 12 steps and I've heard wonderful things about it. And I know for you that was years ago and, but you still carry the beautiful lessons from that. And for those who have not necessarily gone into, I don't want to call, I guess recovery, right?
Yeah.
I just wonder, there's so many good tidbits of information, I'm sure that you can share. I've always been curious about that. I've just
Well,
never thought.
it's a beautiful program, and it's a fellowship of people with different challenges that they have, places where they get stuck, and it goes from recognizing that we're powerless over certain things in our life. It could be codependency, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol or gambling, and just many things, and that. Um, we can't do it alone, you know, that we're kind of powerless. And for me, there's a part of it that I like where recognizing that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. And I love that. That's because it helps me recognize, and there's a little bit of insanity in my humanity. And it helps me not take myself so seriously because again and again, I find myself doing crazy things, you know, open the door the wrong way and just keep on trying to pull it, you know, or oh, the list goes on. There's just about every day I will do something that makes no sense. And now, you know, I laugh about those things. Whereas before, it was no fun, you know? And so, you know, recognizing no matter how far I go, um, and another thing that I can't think my way to the life I want to live, you know? You know, I feel like I have a good mind, but it is not enough, you know? When I started into recovery, um, I um, um, got a sponsor and followed suggestions even when I knew better because I always knew better, but I followed that. And and it was so beautiful because I found that when I was able to listen to another human being, it helped me listen to God, that God that is there. And when I listen to God and live a life um, according to God's will, you know, turn over my will and my life into the care of God, I have a much better life. You know, I have discovered that God knows what I want way more than I ever did. And so, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. It's the saying, right? You gotta work the program. You gotta do it and you gotta show up.
Yes, it works if you work it. And
Yep, that's it. That's the saying.
yeah,
Work if you work it.
yeah, and if I show up, I am honest and open-minded and willing, you know, go to meetings, connect with my sponsor and other people, confidants in my life, you know, and share the things that come up for me, you know, the fears or mistakes, and I live that way. You know, I'm free. I just don't have this baggage. And it leads to joy or bliss that we talked about, you know, when I when I'm out of the way, I have much more fun. And and I have a lot of support. You know, I reach out to people, I talk to people, and I go to meetings, and it keeps me sane. Yeah, yeah.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I love how with some of your, yeah, and that's such a healing thing that you do, just to have that fellowship and that togetherness. And as far as the healing modality, I had heard you share one of your modalities in your bliss consciousness and your meditation is puja, which I won't put you on the spot and I won't ask you to sing that. But what does that, can you share some of that with our listeners so that they know what is puja? What is it for? How is it utilized in healing work? How does it feel? What can you share that with our listeners?
Yes, I will. Puja is a prayer of thanksgiving. And it's a prayer of thanksgiving to all those that have come before us to remind us of the truth. And that can be Christ, it can be Buddha, it can be any number of saints and masters that throughout time have come to the world to remind us that there's a better way, you know. And I remember sharing with you, you know, that um, one of the things I enjoy the most um, is helping remind others that heaven isn't something we have to wait for, you know. You know, um, that heaven's here and now. And I think those masters all have come to remind us that God and heaven are here and now. And if we open the door, we can experience that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Do you do people come and book like sessions with you, or do you actually offer meditation and all this as services?
Yeah, there's a weekend course, and sometimes it can be over time. Um, um, but basically, we share four ascension attitudes based on praise, gratitude, and love. A practice that you can use with your eyes open and your eyes closed, and it normally is Friday night, Saturday from 10 to 5, and Sunday from 10 to 4. But it can be spread out over periods of time. And usually it's a group of people, 5, 10, or more. You know, it just, it depends. When I was in Mexico, it was often more, you know, and, or I worked in the prisons and sometimes there was over 100. But yeah, um, yeah, so it's a practice that um, I share that you can use with your eyes open and closed, which I really love because even on those days that I don't make the time to close my eyes, I can ascend with my eyes open, and it keeps that connection that I loved. And so yeah, yeah, and there's retreats and workshops that from time to time, um, which you can connect with me. I'm still in the process of getting my website uh, uh, fully up to date, and I mean fully functional and working. Um, but at this point, it's just you can email or call me, and I can let you know what's there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Can you share, would you be willing to share your email address for those that want to reach out to you for the meditation classes with you?
Yes, the email address is thekeshava@gmail.com, at least at the moment, and that's THE, and Keshava is KESHA, as in Victor, A, thekeshava@gmail.com. And You can also reach me by phone, and since you know my number, if anyone is interested, you can let them know. Or yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
And is there any one piece of advice you would give to anybody listening about their spiritual journey, or anything that you like to say to other people going through stuff? Is there anything, any advice you could give to anybody listening out there?
One piece of advice. God, you know what comes to mind is don't go it alone. You know, that there's support out there, you know, and maybe it's friends, maybe it's family. I I realize that no matter how far I go, I need other people in my life, you know, and sometimes I need a handshake or a hug, but I need other people. And um, so I would say that there's support there for us, and a lot of it's in other people, you know. So
That's
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your journey and your knowledge and where everybody can find you. And I have enjoyed talking to you. I think I could listen to you for hours talking about stuff. But thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Brooke Ann, and thank you, Mona Lee. It has been a
Yes.
joy being here, and yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to go check him out, check out his website eventually, but you can always find that through his email. So you guys please check him out, follow him, and email him to set up your meditation classes. And we thank you so much, and we hope everybody has a beautiful day. And
Thank you so much.
namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.